I'm so happy that you're doing well. It's been a while since I last saw you. So everybody is looking great. We are ready to go. Wintson, whenever you're ready, the screen is yours. Take it away.
Right. Thanks, Laurie. Thanks. Morning, SweetEe, Adinda, Sheila, Jerrick. Nice to see you guys again. Right. I actually quite like the combination today because we can hear the point of view from different perspectives. You know, we have SweetEe who will be sharing her thoughts from a brand perspective. Then we have Adinda and Sheila have a lot of experiences in helping businesses to grow online in Indonesia. And also we have Jerrick who have dealt with thousands of SMEs in Malaysia and Singapore in growing their brands, right, through digital marketing. I'm really excited, right? Of course, myself, I have been in the industry for about 7 years, and then I really love to listen to all these business stories and share with all these right solutions for all the SMEs, right? But before we get started, we wish to understand our attendees a little bit more on where are they right now, and which industry are they in. So if you are hearing this, can you share with us which industry are you in? And if possible, share with us the challenges that you are facing when it comes to digital marketing, especially in terms of ad targeting. You can just put it in the group chat so that we can actually have a look. So perhaps we could basically share with you some of the useful advice that could be relevant to you. And of course, like what Lauren was sharing just now, feel free to type out questions throughout the session and in the Q&A box, right? And we will attend to them later, right? And at the end of the session, I'm sure that you guys are going to bring home the following 3 key takeaways, right? First, you will know the common mistakes, or I would say the bombs that we usually trigger and we could have avoided, right? Second, the best practices to improve the ads performances. And lastly, the recommended strategies that you can actually apply it ASAP as well to your business, right? Right. So, right. So I would like to actually, because I have been in the industry for a while and then have been hearing all these challenges. And then one of the biggest or the most common challenge that I have been listening is that, okay, my ad is not performing like how I have been placing the ads for the 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. This is the budget that I have spent, but no result. That how, right? So I think I'm glad to have Adinda and Sheila here. So I would like to hear from you guys first. So based on your experience, what are the common mistakes that businesses have done before running any digital marketing that they didn't really realize that they have actually done such mistakes?
Okay, so this is the common mistakes, right?
Yeah, the common mistakes that we usually step into.
Yeah, exactly. So first, that we are only focusing on investing in digital marketing. Like we only want our advertising is going online, but we did not invest on the market research or the business strategy. So basically, we only want to show our ads to people, but we don't know how is our buyer persona. So we didn't like breaking down their profile, what they're interested in, and then how is their behavior. So we, for example, we are selling a sling bag, like a sling bag full of glitter, and then we're targeting people who like motorcycle or riding. So that's exactly a wrong targeting, right? Because people who like sling bag, they are girls, and then they are really feminine. They're into fashion, and we only said, okay, I guess this is woman and man around 18 to 25, but 18 and 25, they don't have the buying power, right? So that's the reason why our ads did not showing any result or making any conversion events. So that's the first thing. And then the second one is that we set our objective and digital campaign incorrectly. So for example, our objective is to create awareness, but we are demanding for clicks or landing page. So that's not really like a good strategy to begin with digital ads. What do you think?
Yeah. Yep. So right, I really like that. You know, yes, these are the two main things when it comes to buyer persona, target audiences, and also the right objectives for the right campaign, right? So Jerrick, how about you? What do you think the common mistakes that most of us could have stepped into?
Okay, so probably from agency point of view, we've been dealing with SME, so there's probably three common mistakes that we see where is a kind of common between most of the SME bosses. The first is they're looking on the wrong metrics. Yeah, when they try to optimize their campaigns, they too much of data and they actually putting a lot of effort in a small impact of marketing strategies. Then second will be target audience. So in point, I see that, I don't know, I'm not sure why is it, but it's happening in the market right now where everyone, when they have no sales, they will be blamed that there's a wrong on the target audience. But honestly, it's not always a target audience. It probably come back to your content. Yeah. So you need to balance on it. Then the third thing is allocation of time and a resource toward the content and towards the the for the contents and also towards the ads, right? So it comes back to the budget allocations and it comes back to the content as well. So these two hardly for a lot of SME, they actually can balance allocate the resource to these two. Some people, they might be like spending too much time and effort on the content, but they do not have the money to actually run the ads. And some people is like they just are putting small effort to just set up a simple content, simple caption, simple banner, and they're running. And they push all the time and the budget to the running the ads. So you need to find the balance actually. Yeah. So these are the three common mistakes that we see from agency.
Right. Thanks, Jerrick, Adinda, and Sheila. So I will conclude that the target audience / the buyer personas, the objectives of the campaign, and also the metrics and also the content. These are the four things that I think most of us could have. I mean, we have to actually make sure that these four are basically being set on properly before we really run an ads. Because later on, we will share based on these mistakes and what are the right strategies to counter it. But I'm always wondering, so when it comes to target audience, right, how do we identify the right target audience, right? How big, I would say, how big should it be? Because sometimes you get too broad, too specific. I wanted to hear from, again, from Jerrick or Adinda or Sheila first. When it comes to the target audience, how do you identify and how big it should be?
Okay, maybe I can add up to that. So to what I've learned so far on how to identify the target audience is to make a profile or profiling. So then we can determine the buyer persona. It consists of demographic such as ages, gender, income level, and location. So we determine which people might likely to buy or use our product or the product itself. This information are important because then we can set the buyer persona that is one thing and the ideal customer profile. Then after that, we can also determine the buying habit of the buyer by doing the direct contact. We could use surveys and interviews. We could ask what they like from the ongoing marketing program, the previous one, or what they don't like about it. And that we have the data that we can gather around, and then we use that in the next strategy. Or when we targeted the audience itself. And after that, we can also observing the competitors, what they've done, what we could do to add up to what they're liking in terms of approaching audiences and try to apply them into our program marketing. But at the end of the day, there are no standard, meaning that there is no right or wrong audiences. What we could do is to always do an A/B testing and try to use that result as our next strategy to apply on another test. For example, we don't have always to, targeting people who love luxury for sport car ads. We could do beyond that. Maybe we could target people in banking, interested in banking and investment, and we can see the result, and we might get a better result from the different interested. So we don't have always to target the people who's interested related to the product. We can do beyond that. So yeah, maybe that's what I think about that.
Yeah, truly agree with that. I think you have a few points. But let's hear from Jerrick first before we go into SweetEe, because I have some questions for SweetEe later. So Jerrick, how big should the TA, the target audience pool be? Or maybe you have any thoughts when it comes to identify the right target audience?
Okay, if let's say to identify, to target the audience pool, in the ads setting, I believe is probably need up to millions, at least 1 million. Yeah, the reason of saying this is because because we want to make decision based on data, right? So when we want to make a decision data, we can't just use a data like just 100 or 1,000 to decide to make a huge decisions. So I believe that we need at least reaching 100,000 of people. Then we only can see that the data actually able to convince us to make a right decisions. Okay, and also based on the right audience, right? I believe it's the same thing like what Adinda and Sheila mentions. They say there's no right and wrong audience. Yeah. So a lot of people that believe always mention about right audience is because right audience, they become means of like a ready audience. Means that those people already want your product. It's just that when is it, right? So actually when we come for right audience, right, it's not enough for a business to be scaled. So so after you eat up all the right audience, you're targeting the right audience after for 1 year, 2 years, right? All these are ready markets. But how about those are low-hanging fruit, which is not the current right market, but you need to educate them, become your clients. Yeah. So there's always so that is why there's no right and wrong target audience. It's just matter of like how big a budget, what's the current strategy, and who you want to target right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Jerrick, just now you were saying 1 million or 100,000 minimum. The
1
ideal
million.
pool, 1 million, 1 million
Yeah.
pool size. That means to reach out to 1 million people to just
Yeah.
get the data before you make any other decisions from there, right?
Yeah, correct.
Agree. That means from here, I would say when it comes to identify your target audiences, it could be first you have to really identify the buyer persona. I mean their profile. For example, just now it's about demographics, their age, what they buy, what they like, where they buy. Myself, I always shop at night, like after work before sleep, I shop. So these are the interesting behaviors, and I think it's a good tips. You have to actually observe your competitors. What are they doing? If possible, like their pages, then you will be served with their ads. So this is one of the strategies, and also the A/B testings, and also like how big is the pool size. I think it shouldn't be like too specific because like what Jerrick was saying, you need to have reach out to more people just to get a good data to just gauge which one works better to you, right? And SweetEe, are you there, SweetEe? SweetEe?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
All right. Actually, I have a very interesting question for you because you, from a brand perspective, now you heard from what Adinda, Sheila, and Jerrick was sharing, their target audiences, or even as simple as your content, your market propositions. How does Amazin'Grace is basically positioned in the market? So, which are really crucial for the brand, right? Prior to do any digital marketing, right? Can you share with us how Amazin'Grace continue to stand out in the market in terms of marketing? And how do you yourself, as a real practitioner, identify and target your right audiences?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what Adinda, Sheila, and Jerrick have to say just now. Is you really need to experiment a lot, and you need to really identify your buyer's persona. So in Amazin'Grace, I think we don't ever get too comfortable with the initial target audience we have. We continuously experiment and A/B test a lot. So for any new product, you always have your broad level first. So it's your age group, your gender, location, and then you need to dive deeper into their purchasing behavior and their digital activities. So what does this mean is you need to start to understand how they react on social media, what kind of content they like, what kind of brands they engage with a lot. So as a marketer, you can surface the need of your brand to these target audiences. Yeah, so that is usually what we do. And an example is if we were to market granola, right? To never go direct, like I only target people who are interested in granola because that is usually not going to work, right? So you need to look into like, okay, a person who's going to spend 20 ringgit on granola, what other things are they going to spend on? Why do they want to buy Amazin'Grace granola? So maybe they are interested in health, maybe they're interested in yoga, and because they don't mind online shopping, most of the time they will also buy Bitcoin, an example. So they will do stock investment, etc. So that's a good way to start and build your buyer persona from there as well. Yeah. And of course, like once we gather enough data, then we'll always advise people to run lookalikes as well. And then based on the lookalike, you can then study further what are your consumer behaviors like. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. That means you will really dive into like for example, people who like Bitcoin could be someone who love granular.
Correct. Correct.
But just wondering, how do you get this data? I think all the attendees today will be wondering, okay, how can I get this data, right? So in your point of view, how could they get it in a way?
I would say it's a lot of assumption, and when you run the campaigns, the data or the performance will tell you the results. Yes.
That means you will just try it from scratch. Too generic and broad, but how I think everyone in the market could have done that, but then how SweetEe is doing it for Amazin'Grace is that keep trying different target audiences just to make sure that it works, right? Of course, there are also learning period as well, right? Cool. Thanks, SweetEe, for sharing that. I think that's a very good tips for all of us. Keep don't stop assuming and imagining who are the people who could be actually like our products, right? So okay. So next, I think I also want to actually understand. So now we know that just now Jerrick, Adinda, and Sheila shared about the common mistake that we used to step into, and then SweetEe was sharing about her point of view and how she basically practices it in business when it comes to target audiences. So then you guys must be wondering, okay, now we know the common mistakes, then how can we actually increase the effectiveness to avoid all these potholes, right? Just to skip it. So okay, I think once we have got the first step done right, in terms of identify target audiences and etc. And then next we'll be look into the performances. So because I have been meeting a lot of SMEs as well. So I think it's like similar to the earlier session, they were talking about the budget, for example. They will be asking me, okay, if I spend $20 a day, what is the ROS that I should expect? How should I do it better? So I think sometimes it's not just about, there's too many variables that will be contributing to the results, not just about the budget, right? So let's hear from Adinda and Sheila first. How do you determine if an ad work? What are just now Jerrick was talking about matrices. So what are the key matrices that you should look into to gauge whether the ad is actually working for the brand or not, whether it's good or not, I would say. So what's your point of view, Adinda and Sheila?
Okay, maybe I would like to answer to that question. The metric or how to see if an ad is working is first to see on their objective first. So because the objective has different key metrics. For example, if you set an awareness campaign, the key metric or to see how they perform is to see on how many are the reach and impressions there are. The bigger, the better. Why? Because the objective is to give an awareness. So the more people seeing your ads, your brand is likely to be known or remembered. So the objective is, the goal or the objective is achieved here. But when we set a traffic or even a conversion campaign, we want to see how many link clicks there are, landing pages, and even purchases that they might get, because the objective is to spread the ads across people who are likely to be attracted and make an action from the ads itself. So by then we can determine if the ads is achieving the objective or not, is to look at the objective itself. What we want to get from the ads. What's the goal here? So different goals have different key metrics that I've listed before. So awareness is, we get to how many reach, impression, in traffic. We have to see on the how many link clicks, because then we can decide or determine that the higher click-through rate or the higher clicks that they have, so the content is attractive to that people, right? So that's the key metric if we set the traffic campaign. because the goal itself is to get how so many people to interact with our ads and even to the product itself.
Understand. It means it depends on the objective, and different objectives will have different metrics to gauge the effectiveness. For example, if the awareness, maybe it could be impression and reach. When it comes to link clicks, maybe it could be, the number could be smaller, but it's about the quality, whether the link click will be able to generate sales or conversions over there, right? How about you, Jerrick? How do you think, because I think we also, return of advertising spend has been the key thing that when people look into the metrics out there. What is the ROS that's good? Is it 2 good? Is it 5 good? Is it 10 good? So what's the point of view when it comes to ROAS? And then what do you think that could be helpful in terms of helping businesses to optimize and improve their performances?
Okay, so when it comes to ROAS, right, if let's say we're only looking for revenue wise, then definitely we need to be like 2 and above to define that the campaign is good, right? But I will honestly, when it comes to a business in the long term, right, revenue is not everything for ROAS, because we're running ads. Sometimes it's building a brand, sometimes it might be take longer time to actually bring back the sales. Right, so probably you need to look into lifetime value as well, beside of the return on expense. Yeah. So if let's say you want to have higher ROAS, right? What we do practice is always doing A/B testing. Yeah. So because what we know, what can actually increase the ROAS, either you have more clients, either you have more orders, or either your order value is higher. Right. So these are the 3 key things that actually impact on the return on expense, right? So you need to think of the strategy. If let's say you can doing like rather than you can't getting more orders, you can't getting more clients, that's why not you doing a return, you increase your order value. You can do a bundle product, you can do purchase with purchase, right? So you increase of each of client, they are spending more towards you, and you also can get them to come back to return customer and spending more, right? So in other way, which is the most common one, which is getting more new clients, reduce your cost per purchase, then you definitely spending the same budget and getting more orders. So this is the way that we practice to get higher ROAS.
Yep, I think it's a very actionable strategy that we can actually use. When we know that ROAS is actually low, okay, then how can we actually do it? Some of us might be thinking, okay, I just have to spend more to get a higher ROAS. But I think Jerry have a very good point when it comes to, it's not just necessarily about spending more, it's about how do you increase the basket size of every user, they check out more, you do bundle, like what SweetEe, Amazin'Grace is doing is like there are a lot of bundles and gift boxes. I think that's one of the strategies, right, SweetEe, right? That's very interesting, And then sometimes you will do like free shipping and you buy more than 50 ringgit just to actually increase the basket size. Because when they check out more, your ROS is basically higher in a way, right? So that's why I'm going to show the board to see already. See, when it comes to this part, ROAS, all these kind of metrics and things like that, as a popular healthy snack in the market, right? How do you always optimize the campaign? Like really the things that you have done it. And then do you have any tips to share with all of us? Yeah.
Sure. To carry on like what was mentioned just now, ROAS and a lot more different metrics, I think when you look into optimization, it's first to really understand what are you looking to optimize. Are you looking to have a better click-through rate? Are you looking to have a better ROAS? Or are you looking to have a better CPA for purchases or add to cart, right? So once you nail down your metrics or your KPI, then you can start building your optimization strategy. So to improve ROAS, what we do is bundles, purchase with purchase, gift with purchase. This is like the fastest way, right? For the long run, because if you definitely need a lot of prospects and you need a lot of new customers, right? Our main strategy is to always optimize creatives. So that goes into your visuals and that also goes into your copywriting as well. We do refresh our creatives quite frequently because people will get bored, right? Looking at the same creatives like after 2 weeks or even a month. And this is where you will see ad fatigue will happen, actually. Yeah. And another thing we know that consumers nowadays, especially in the digital field, they have very, very short attention span. So if you cannot capture their attention in that 3 seconds time, they're basically gone. So what we always do is we just test like different colors, we test different copies, and then we need to find what is the common thing that attracts people to make the right click. Yeah. So a few things we look into is click-through rate, add to cart events, and we also practice a lot of patience, because I think one thing that a lot of people may make a mistake is they don't wait patiently for the ads to run and learn. Like they expect it to like work magically in 7 days, and usually that's not the case, right? It needs to work. You need some time to learn and really identify your right audiences as well. So what I would suggest is to monitor, give it some time, but not wait too long. Don't get too overly patient either. Give it some time and monitor it on a weekly basis, and compare the results based on last 7 days, last 14 days versus last 30 days. And then you can then see what are the trends actually of your CPA and also your ROAS.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on? SweetEe, that's all?
Anything else to add on? No, I think that's about it.
I think that's really short and simple, and like really something that can be actually implemented immediately. I like the few points that you were sharing, the creative, the ad fatigues. That means people will feel bored if you keep using the same ad. So if you guys are actually basically running ads, really good to have different variation. I think the variation is not just about seeing different things and also testing different visuals, see whether it works or not. Yep. Even the same visuals may work for different target audiences. For male and female may react differently. I think, like what SweetEe was saying, just keep doing A/B testing and experimenting, because you will never. There's no one success formula for everyone, or maybe for every brand. Even the same brand, like for example, what Amazin'Grace or maybe what SweetEe is doing right now, it might not be applicable to another snack brand, for example. So it has to be keep experimenting. And the second point that I like from you the most is that SweetEe, I really know the pain points about the wait patiently. I have clients who are asking me, I really what else they say, like, 3 days already no result. Then how I have to stop it immediately? It's burning my money. So I think you have to wait patiently, because I think Facebook, all the digital marketing channels are basically, they need time to optimize it, to learn and optimize it before they really will be able to actually show the results. Of course, cannot wait too long also, like what SweetEe was saying. Just have to, but when it comes to don't wait for too long, right? Do you guys have any gauge, like how long should it be for an ad to see whether it works or not? SweetEe?
Usually within the learning period, that's about 1 to 2 weeks, you can already tell the difference. So if you have enough variations, you have enough target audiences, then you will definitely spot the winning creatives or the winning target audience. And that should tell you how can you amplify based on the winning creatives and the winning target audience. So if you know, an example is if I were to use green color versus yellow color, and it shows me that green color works everywhere. It has the best click-through rate, it has the best add to cart events, everything, right? Then your next few campaigns go big with green color.
Right. Even colors matters. Even color matters.
Colors matter, yes.
Yep. And then back to your very first point, that is about the purchase for purchase, all these kind of things that you could. I mean, not just about changing the visuals or social visuals, there are too many things like variables. Even the product and the content that you have, 99, 10, 10, or maybe what's the promotion that you're doing. These are also matters, right? SweetEe, right? All right, Ken. Okay, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to actually type it in the Q&A box over there, not in the chat box, in the Q&A section. Yeah, so we'll attend to it in a while. So I have another round of things that I want to actually ask our panelists today is about, now we know that it's really important. There are a lot of things that you have to actually manage from the beginning. The target audiences, your profiles, and then you need to actually understand the objective, the key matrices. It's not just blindly just place ads. You have to understand them first before you place an ads, or otherwise it will be like a wastage for you already, right? But of course, there's always not. I would say, okay, I should have rephrased myself. I don't call it wastage. It's called the learning stage. It could be longer, right? It's not called wastage. You have to take longer to learn it. But if you are able to understand your customers first, where are they, who are they, you will save a lot of time from there, right? And then also keep doing A/B testing and things like that, right? So now we have to actually the last and most interesting part is about what are I think Jerrick, Adinda, and Sheila has been really dealing with a lot of business owners in the market, right? So I think you guys would have run through a lot of digital marketing campaigns. So and then I also know that there are a few strategies like custom audiences, lookalike audiences, retargeting, and these kind of things. So maybe I start with Jerrick first. So since you have met helped a lot of SMEs to actually grow, right? How does all this work? The real strategy, like custom audience, lookalike audience, retargeting, and all these kind of things. How can businesses leverage on these tools or functions to actually help them?
Okay. If let's say custom audience, all those some business actually do not need this as well. Some business, they actually based on core audience, they are working perfectly well. Yeah. But for some business, there's nowhere for them that they need to go for the niche markets, and they need to upload their own audience as a custom audience, especially together with their revenues, their value, order value, all those that upload into and customize to custom audience. And based on the custom and the lookalike audience, because lookalike audience is where that when your core audience or your custom audience, they saturate your target until they see your ads property frequency more than 5 to 10 or more than that already, then you're starting to expand to a lookalike audience, right? So as I know that right now, lookalike audience, because used to be, I believe used to be before last year, I think mostly we setting lookalike audience around like 1% or maximum 2% on the lookalike audience based on the custom audience. But right now, because of iOS, and it showed that you can actually expand up to 4%, you're still seeing conversion from there. Yeah. Then all these then retargeting is probably more towards like how you want to retarget back your clients, how do you want to retarget back people that will land to your website. So it depends on how you're going to play with the funnel, right? How you're going to bring back your clients, how you're going to bring back those people that come to your website and purchase. So you probably need to look into your funnel. Yeah. So I think this is pretty like this. Yeah.
Understand. That means you have to look into not these kind of terms, right? Like custom audiences, lookalike audiences. It's not compulsory for every business to adopt it, but it depends on which business side you are in, and then which, like what Jerrick was saying, the funnel, whether it's you're on the awareness part, you're on the which kind of objectives that you are, right? What Adinda, Sheila was saying, so the objective that you are doing, it will determine which strategy that you have to use. But Jerrick, commonly, what is the core things that it's like the success rate is basically higher in a way?
If let's say success rate higher, it directly depends on business line, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
B2B, I would say that it very depending on the retargeting, because they need a lot of convenience data like review. They need all those like showing them what price, what award that you are winning in order to convince them to make a decision. So you need the retargeting, you need a long process to convince one people to actually make a huge decision, right? Then for custom audience wise, is basically when Facebook need longer times to actually study your audience, because sometimes the AI is automatic learning and expand the audience for you, but sometimes they will find the audience that not really the ones that you want to target. Then you have no choice that you're actually using custom audience and expand to a lookalike audience.
Right. So you must always change the strategy at the same time also. Understand. So when it comes to data, right, I think Adinda, Sheila would have a different point of view from here, because from Prihal data, from the agency itself, you guys are doing data, so I think you guys are being creative as well. So how can brands leverage on, how can brands get all this data and leverage on this data for their digital marketing strategies?
Okay.
Adinda, Sheila.
Okay. Basically, Facebook is integrated with several applications, right? Like WhatsApp and then Instagram, and then Facebook ads also can be integrated with all the email marketing such as MailChimp. And basically, people who are already engaged with our Instagram or emails are people who have the intention to interact with our brand or even make a purchase to our product, right? So based on that data, we can target those people again to persuade them to check out, because sometimes people are looking at our website or looking at our e-commerce page, but they stop at some point, for example, like on the content, like on the product page or on the add to cart. So those data that we gain from the email marketing or our website or our Instagram give us the advantage to like reach those people again and persuade them to check out. Or we can also see from the Google Analytics, if you use the customer journey, you can see on which step the audience is stopping to interact with our website or our product, right? And then from that, we can see how to communicate with them again. For example, people are landing on our homepage and then they looking at our category product, but they stop there and they didn't see the product. They didn't see the product details. It could be our product didn't attract them to see more, or our ads didn't show how is our product can solve their problem. So a good product is always a product that solve problems, right? So we need to deliver what is our product can solve and what is the people's problem, because sometimes we don't know what is exactly our problem, or we can create the problem. So that's what the data can be used to help us into digital marketing industry.
Yeah, either you see the problem, you see the pain points, or you create something that we have not really realized it yet, right? To just improve our experiences. Yeah, I think that is a very good point as well when it comes to giving the right solutions to the customers, which will eventually drive the sales as well, right? Before you go into the Q&A, right? Actually, just now I have one question that I always wanted to ask. I think most of our audiences might be really interested as well. I'm not sure whether either one of you could be able to actually answer that. It's a very budget. How much should I spend? You know, I think this is the most commonly asked questions, budget, you know. So maybe I will hear from SweetEe first. SweetEe, as you are the person who are spending the money, you know, how do you determine that? I hope it's not top secrets. Just
no,
a gauge.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I think before you jump into setting up the budget, you need to know what is your expected returns first, right? Like how much are you expecting to earn out of a Facebook campaign? And it has to be direct attributed, not in total. That includes organic as well. When you have your target, then you need to then set what is your ROAS target. 2 will be a great start, right? Just to make sure you break even. And then from there onwards, you need to set a period. When do you expect to see a result? Is it 1 month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Or is it a year? This really depends on the industry you're in. So if you're in property, that's not going to be a month lah. Yeah. And after that, then you need to really build your funnel and understand like what are your conversion rates in each funnel, right? So you have your typical e-commerce conversion rate, and then you have your targeted traffic that is directly attributed by ads, and then you will have your impressions to traffic, which usually it's click-through rate. And there, when you have all this built, then you can actually roughly kind of set the budget there. So also another thing to note is different advertising platform, they charge differently. So Facebook charge by impressions, CPM. So depending your audience size and depending on what the percentage of reach you want to get, then you should roughly get your budget, and then you get to tally it with your ROAS as well. Yes.
Right. Short and sweet advice. You have to set your KPI and target first, and then you need to know what's the base that you cannot go over, your break-even line. And then that will basically help you to determine how much you have to spend and how much you can actually use to actually learn your customers and optimize it. Yeah, that's a very good one. Okay, due to the time constraint, we have to actually go into the Q&A already. Let me just go into the Q&A, yeah. All right. So we have really a lot of questions, I just realized, which is very good. Okay, the first one from Kelly. How could we precisely target on a specific customers in Facebook ads that we need in terms of clicks into our ads? Yeah, anyone could actually answer this? How could we precisely target the specific customers in Facebook ads? Just to make sure that they click into our ads. Maybe Jerrick, do you have any thoughts on this one in terms of targeting?
Okay, so honestly, Facebook still is a place where kind of open to the broad market compared to Google. Yeah, because it's still based on interest that we are targeting, unless you are using custom audience, which is you already have the pool of people that you only want to target, like the specific 5,000 or 10,000 of a list that you're already uploading, and you want them to look into it only, right? If let's say you want to precisely target, it would be great that you go through the process where you, after you getting them turn into the leads or live chats or turn into the sales, then you upload them to the custom audience, then you just only do lookalike audience and target, then it will be more targeted lah. Yeah, if not, you will still depend back on the core audience there to actually exclude that one by one to actually find the best. Yeah.
Understand. From
then
broad
clicks
first.
or not clicks is definitely based on the content, how personalized your message toward this specific group of the customers. Yeah.
Thanks, Jerrick. When it comes to content, then it comes to the second questions. Putting the budget aside, what should we do to attract people organically? Do they see something nice or to see something informative content when it comes to ads? So maybe Adinda, Sheila, do you guys have any thoughts on these questions? Like besides the budget, what in your point of view, because you guys are in data and creative line, what do they see? Do they see something nice and informative content only? And what are the things that will attract them to click and buy in a way?
So it's basically, it depends on your product. If your product is some product that needs to be, that people would like to ask more or need information about your product, then your content should be like informative. For example, if you're selling a camera, you cannot just put your product like how is it look like in different angle, but you need to show them how's your spec, right? Like how's the camera spec, and then how is the camera performance. So that should be informative. But if you're selling like a bag, you don't need to like deliver the function of the bag, right? It's just exactly the bag. You need to just show how is it looks like when you wear it. So it's also depends on your product, but people likes to know more about your product, and it also depends on your customer behavior. For example, in Indonesia, people really likes to looking for information from the social media, from Instagram. So it's really like a personal things that people show how is it will look like when you wear something or when they wear your product. So the content should be like good, like visually good, but people from, because I also have handled like the retail business in the USA, so the consumer behavior is quite different. They tend to looking for information from the blogs or review. So the content should be informative. So you need to know more or you need to know deeper about your product and then your consumer behavior, like your target audience behavior in looking for information of a brand or of a product.
Thanks, Adinda and Sheila, for that. I think, yeah, you're right. Like, not just about the creative, but also, I think it also depends on the things that you want to actually push and the objectives that you're putting, right? If you're putting add to cart action, I mean, the objective is for action part, but you are putting branding awareness kind of content onto it, the response will be different. I think it has to tie back to the objectives as well, right? Thank you so much. Okay, next we have William. William is asking, how do we identify the target audience for a product and services where the user is not the buyer? They are in healthcare industry. Okay, how do we identify the target audiences for product and services? Okay, William, maybe you can actually add in more. When we say the target audiences is the user is not really the buyer. That means, yeah, if possible, you can actually type in the chat what does this mean? How to identify the target audiences where the user is not the buyer? Because usually we will target buyers, right? Or you guys will have different point of view? No, right? I think may have to actually ask William on this part. Okay, let's just temporarily skip on that. And we have another attendees who are also from the healthcare industry, right? They are providing IVF treatments. How do we target our ads audience on social media? As our target audience are 25 to 42 years old, please advise us on which social media platform we should target more. Do you guys have any? Although SweetEe, I know you are from the F&B, but when it comes to all this targeting, do you have any advice for these attendees?
Sure. I'm assuming it's also about the platform, right?
Yeah,
so
the channel, the
25 to 42 years. So I think first it's again understanding your target audience and their persona. That means it's also really understand what are their digital activities, right? So where do they convert on? Do they convert on Facebook, or do they convert on Instagram, or do they convert on TikTok? So usually my advice is, if you are really aiming for conversion, I would stay away from platforms that are mainly used for awareness. So for that kind of age group, I would suggest to go big on Google and also Facebook.
Yeah. Yep, understand. Thanks, SweetEe, for that. And to actually understand, again, to understand where are your target audiences are. For example, if you're targeting me, I'm not on TikTok, for example, so you wouldn't want, so you need to understand where are they right now. Of course, Facebook and Facebook and Google are the most common ones, right? Yeah, especially I think Google works very well for, especially for B2B. Yeah, I think Facebook is more towards, I always like this quote, Facebook and social media ads are basically creating intention for people to buy, but Google ads, you are basically targeting those who have the intention to buy already, right? So one is to create, one is to attend to the intention, right? Okay, thanks for that. And we have Sheila. Sheila is in a technology industry, right? For making a planning, especially in technology industry, what is the first plan to do? Is that budget first? Whether the budget come first or the idea come first when it comes to digital marketing planning, because they have a marketing team over here, they would like to know how should it be planned in order to roll out a successful campaign to achieve the ROI. Yep, budget come first or ideas come first? What do you guys think? Anyone?
I think both should go hand in hand. Yeah. If you have a stellar idea and you don't have the budget, then your idea is not going to be used to its full potential. If you have a lot of budget, but your idea is not great, then you're literally throwing money into the ocean. That's called Facebook or Google. So always go hand in hand together. When you have ideas, it's really important to understand what kind of ROI are you expecting from this idea. You should always set your target there first. Yeah. And then only from there, then you can learn how to optimize further.
Understand. Of course, a wow idea also need a wow budget, right?
Sure. Yeah. Always hand in hand, yeah.
Okay, Ken, thanks, SweetEe. All right, let's take a few more questions before we end the session. All right, okay, let's see this. Okay. This is more towards the practices also lah. Like may how to create the right content? Okay, how to create? Oh, interesting. The attendees wish to create a content to target Instagram content to target B2B, right? B2B, right? Should we put the text on the image, or maybe we should just focus on the image and put the text in the descriptions? Okay, there are two things here. So should we? The attendees wishes to actually B2B on Instagram. And second is that whether they should put the text on the image, or they should put the text, just the image, but the text is in the caption or descriptions. I think this is the attendees from Indonesia. So maybe Adinda and Sheila, maybe you guys can attend to it.
Okay, so it's a B2B company, right? And then it's on Instagram. So for B2B, it's they are aiming for like partnership. So I think it's best to put some text on the content ads, but not too much. Don't be over text. Like Facebook has the regulation of 20% of text, and then you can explain further about the specification or the partnership in the caption. But make sure on the ads you put some landing pages or some contact information, so they can directly contact you. Because for B2B, the conversion is not mostly it's not online or on e-commerce. So make sure that they are direct to your landing page, like your conversion landing page, for example, the WhatsApp or email. So just make sure that you provide information that the B2B target audience will be engaged with, like for example, like email or your contact, WhatsApp contact.
So you put a call to action.
Right. Thanks. Thanks, Adinda and Sheila. Also, again, I think it's also about understanding where our customers, whether the email marketing works or not. Yeah, maybe it's not just limited to, it must be Facebook, it must be Instagram. No, it could be different ways. And the next question I want to actually pass it to Jerrick, because it's more towards the setting part when it comes to the Facebook ads. Are there differences between using A/B testing and creating different ad sets under one campaign? Yeah, Jerrick, what will be your take on this one?
Okay, so it basically depends on you have time to look into it or not. Basically, yeah. If you, let's say you do not have the time to do it manual way, like create different ad sets, then you just use the A/B testing that the tools that are available from the Facebook and the Google itself, because it automatically tell you with a nice chart everything that which is a winning asset, and you go with it, right? You only do it manual way when you really have time to actually look into details time to times. Yeah, so it very depends, but both are actually bringing the same result. But if let's say you do not have the time, then leave the AI to actually do the work. Yeah, because AI learning is faster than human, I believe.
True, very true. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Jerrick. And the next question is, how to target those audiences who are below 18 years old? Knowing that Facebook have recently banned custom audiences and did targeting on those who are basically 18 years old and below. So if a brand is actually targeting these 18 years old and below, what would be the strategy? What would be your advice on this part? I would actually wish to hear from SweetEe on this. SweetEe, you have to unmute.
I'm here.
Would
you mind repeating the question again? I can't seem to find it.
No worries. It's from Eden. From 1002. How can we target audiences below 18 years old? Yeah.
I would say go with organic, right? So you can't do that on Facebook right now. So I would say utilize your organic channels and find influencers, KOLs.
Yeah, influencer. That's a very good point, really. Yeah. And in fact, I think on 28 and 29 September, we have a series of influencer marketing related topics. Yeah, so you guys can actually join that if you guys are looking for 18 and below. So influencer, you're right. So organic and looking for KOLs, right? Lorraine, do we still have time to take like maybe one or two? I think there are really a lot over here.
I think we're gonna permit like just one more because we're pushing it at this point. So yeah,
one more. Okay. I'm in dilemma already. Do you guys come across any good questions that you guys wanted to actually share? I'm going through it. Education. Okay. Okay, I think quite a lot of people who are asking below 18 years old. So I think SweetEe has really did that. Sorry, Laurie, I'm in dilemma. Hold on for a second. Yeah.
In the meantime, I'll just buffer here. SweetEe, any chance you'll be coming up with granola bars? Because I was looking at your page and most of it is just the loose packets, right? And like I'm a fan of the bars because it's easy to carry with me. So any plans for that?
Yes, that's going to be next year. Hopefully, we are in the process of R&D right now. Yeah.
All right. I live.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Laurie. Yeah. Okay. I think the last question that I want to ask. I think I decided to pick up is because digital marketing is not limited to Facebook, Google, right? We also have LinkedIn ads, right? And also TikTok ads and all those. So, of course, one of the attendees is asking about LinkedIn ads. What should we? I mean, what would be your advice when it comes to LinkedIn ads? Anyone? Yeah. Jerrick, Adinda, Sheila.
Okay. So LinkedIn ads, it's quite compared to Facebook. The cost is higher, a lot higher. So just make sure if you are on LinkedIn ads, you have good content to be shared with, because like, if we don't have any content, like a good content to be shared with, and they charge us like higher than Facebook, then just don't use just prepare your content first and then your resource, and then you can go to LinkedIn. But if you don't have anything to be shared with LinkedIn, like the audience on LinkedIn, because they're quite detailed on LinkedIn, because it's professional platform, right? So there are details, and they really want to know what's the benefit of your product, and you don't have any content or a good copywriter to be communicate your value, then I guess don't use LinkedIn. Don't use LinkedIn first. I mean, like, you need to prepare your resource.
And the market or the audience is limited on LinkedIn. So it's totally different audiences from Facebook, right? Facebook can target more people beyond LinkedIn target.
So ads too.
Yeah. So for awareness, it's best to use Google Ads. Well, Facebook also, and organically is IG, Instagram promote, right? So LinkedIn is, to us, LinkedIn is the last option,
last resort,
the last platform.
Yeah.
The most famous one is TikTok right now. So maybe we can better use TikTok than LinkedIn first. So LinkedIn it's different. It's very different. So it's limited to the industry itself and the target audience itself.
So it's depends what your company offer, what is your product, and then what is your target audience. Like if you are selling to B2C, LinkedIn will not be like a good choice. But if you're selling to B2B, then it will be worth it.
Yep. LinkedIn is more towards for, like we say, B2B, right? And then you are targeting all the decision makers on the top levels. So I think it's worth to actually get the conversions from there. Of course, when it comes to the core markets, Facebook, Google will be the more recommended ones. Right. Thank you so much, Adinda and Sheila. I think, thank you, SweetEe, thank you, Jerrick, as well, for joining us today. I think all of us have really learned a lot when it comes to ad targeting and the best practices and the strategies. She also shared some of the secrets. Bitcoins, people who love Bitcoins could have loved Amazin'Grace as well. So interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. Laurie, over to you.
All right, and thank you, Wintson. Thank you so much for a wonderful panel discussion. I think you actually took the words right out of my mouth. You can practically do my job next time. But I was going to thank everybody for sharing a little bit of, their tricks of the trade, a little bit of their secrets. It was just so wonderful to hear all that. And I think that this panel discussion was really well balanced, and I think that was just so nice to listen to. You guys who are tuning in right now, let's give them a virtual round of applause. You can say thank you. Wintson, I'd like to thank you so much. Adinda, Sheila, SweetEe, and Jerrick, thank you for being a part of Marketing Fest Asia. Please take care and feel free to stay on with us for the last panel discussion of today. I'll see you guys soon.
Likewise. Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.